Fast forward to COVID, guess what? We were fully digital.
Yeah.
We did not have a single second of closure in our office. Our team went straight to remote working. We were able to help our clients where other accountants had furloughed like 80% of their team. And I was actually working from 9 till 6 was like our opening hours. So we were just dealing with clients. And then from 6 till around 3, 4 in the morning is when I actually got work done, because that's the only time I actually had the opportunity to, because everyone kept calling during the day. So we were working at like max stretch. Like it was the hardest thing we ever did.